Okay, so PTCD is here for the last job centre of the day. It's in Canterbury. Almost.
Sorry, turn the camera off for me, please.
Pardon?
Just turn the camera off for me.
Why?
It's quite recording here.
Why?
You're not allowed.
What do you mean?
You're not allowed to record in here.
Is that so? It's not. I didn't see a sign on the door.
It's public building, you're not allowed to record in here.
I know it's a public building, that's exactly why you're not allowed to record in it.
So can you please leave the glass holders? Can you turn it off for me, please?
I don't understand.
You're not allowed to record in here, so can you
But you can.
You're not allowed to record.
You can.
Rules of the building state. There's no.
Literally, there's no sign on the door saying I recorded.
If you open the door, push the button. If you open the door.
Yep. That's a look.
Please step out. You can't record here, so you can either stand outside, which is
Sure.
absolutely fine.
There's nothing there saying I can't.
You're not allowed to record in just
Right, okay. So how do you know that I don't have memory issues and that I don't have a disability?
Then,
Then?
if you wish to do that, then you need to raise it. If you've got an appointment, you need to talk to your coach and arrange if you can have a private room to potentially record.
See, the thing is, would you say that to somebody in a wheelchair? You have to make an appointment to make sure that you've got wheelchair access. No, because disabilities, by law, you have to make reasonable adjustments.
And that would be a reasonable adjustment.
And a reasonable adjustment is me recording for memory issues.
I'm not getting known about it. You're not allowed to record in the building, so can you please either turn it off or exit the building.
We need to turn this one off.
And your phone's off, please.
Huh?
And your phone's off,
How
please.
do you know that's on?
And your phone's off,
How
please.
do you know that's on?
Can I see?
Pardon?
Nothing.
Can I see yours? So? Can I see yours?
Can you please either leave the building or turn the recording equipment off?
I don't understand what the issue is. I just want to go take some shots of the information that's on the board there.
You're not allowed to record within the building.
Pardon?
You're not allowed to record within the building. I'm
But-
not getting in an argument about it.
But again,
Stand in the public.
but this is a public place.
It's a privately owned building.
But it's a
And the
public
rule-
place.
I'm done with the conversation. The rules are you're not allowed to film the building, so can you please either turn it off or leave it there. That's it.
Okay. Let's have that one back on then. But as I said, it's a public place. You know, there's nothing to stop somebody from recording in a public place. What exactly is the issue with recording? Okay, let's record from here then. It's got a good zoom.
You want to record them not on
Yep, because my arms don't go over your head today. Oh, yeah, funny. He's come and stood right there. Like my arms can't go over his head.
Oh wait, time for you to leave.
Ooh, it's hard to control the zoom at this. There we go. Try and get a still picture of that.
Oh mate, it's time to go. Guy just fancies recording inside the building, refusing to leave now.
Oh, no, we've told him he's not allowed to record.
Yeah.
And he's allowed to because it's a public building. It's privately owned building.
I'm very well aware of your G4S policy that tells you not to get physical with anybody unless it's in self-defence, and you will lose your job if you do,
You
so...
can't also record in here.
Pardon?
You can't record in here.
Have you got that in a written policy somewhere that I can see?
We put it, yeah. So what would you actually want?
Pardon? I want to come in and film the signs, the public information and
You
stuff.
definitely can't do that.
Why not?
Because there's people that work here
Mhm.
and we don't know what you're doing with your camera.
Right.
So you could be putting it anywhere. So you can't have people's faces on here because we've not given you permission to have our faces on.
But you're in a public place, I'm afraid.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I mean, it does though. If I'm walking down the street and you happen to be on my dash cam
Police,
footage...
I'll phone the police. They'll
Okay.
remove you.
Bit of a waste of time, but there we go. Actually, all I want to do is go have a look at that board there. That board there.
Done before, you can go now.
But then what if I'm not going to remember all that information?
I'll get a photocopy for you if you like.
Pardon?
I'll get a photo.
I want a photocopy of each. I want about 40,000 copies of each thing, because that's how many people are going to see this. So that's your option. If you say you're going to photocopy, fine. I'll take a photocopy of everything you've got.
See it, well, then you can post it for 40,000 people to see.
Pardon?
You got 40,000 copies of that video, have you?
Pardon?
You got 40,000 copies of that video.
I've got one copy which I can send to 40,000 people. That's
So
not.
why can't you do that with a hard copy?
Huh?
Why can't you do that with a hard copy?
Because I've only got one hard copy, haven't I?
And then
You've only got one hard copy of a video.
Huh?
You've only got one hard copy of a video.
Yeah, but I can send that. That's unlimited sending, isn't it? If I've only got one hard copy, I can only send that to one person.
Send that picture.
Well, but then you're wasting all that paper, aren't you? You're just wasting all that paper for what?
It's only one copy.
Yeah, but you're still having a photocopy of everything, and you're wasting all that paper just because you don't want me to go take a picture of it in here.
But you're not taking a picture, are you?
Huh?
You're not taking a picture.
I am.
You're taking a video.
60 pictures per second, actually.
It's a video.
60 seconds per picture.
Video.
60 pictures
video.
per second, which is 60 pictures per second. I think I've got 60, it might be on 30, I don't know. That's all a video is, it's just a succession of pictures in a certain time frame. Isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what?
It is. That's all it is. You got no answer for it, 'cause that's exactly what a video is.
Well, if you want to take a picture of it, mate, like I said, we can get you a hard copy if that's what you want.
I don't want a hard copy, I want a picture.
So why are you in here to take a video of it then? If you don't want it.
Huh?
If you don't want it, why are you in here to take a picture of it?
Because I don't want the hard copy. I don't want to waste all that paper. And that information is there for the public to come and look at in a public place
Privately owned.
by the government, which is
Privately
paid for
owned
by the public,
Privately owned building.
by the government,
Privately owned building.
which the government rents out.
Privately owned building.
Can you go into a police station?
Yes, all the time. All the time. And unfortunately, the police are many steps ahead of you on this. Like, they know that it's a public place, people can record, and they don't give us this for it anymore.
You're not allowed to record it.
It's funny because the other two job centres I've been through today have had absolutely no issue with it whatsoever.
And take it over there and let's go back there and record their information then.
I want to see what's local to Canterbury. I want to see what's available in Canterbury. We've got 4 G4S staff for an empty building, apart from obviously the staff, but great spending of taxpayers' money. I hear G4S have actually lost contract and you guys will be out of DWP soon anyway. That's what I heard. I don't know how true that is, but again, like my arms can't move and go around you. or up above you.
You alright, Pete?
Yeah, yeah.
What's up?
If any of this appears on any YouTube or any video, I will sue you personally because I don't give you permission to do anything but recording of me at any
In a
time.
public place.
No, you still can do it. You still can't put me out anywhere. I don't give you permission.
What's my name? How are you going to sue me?
I'll find it if it's on video or anything.
Okay.
Your staff can feel harassed by your actions. Harassment is an offence.
I'm feeling harassed.
You're harassing people by filming.
That's not harassment.
It's an harassment if you're filming when they don't want you to. That is harassment.
No, it's not.
Yes,
The
it
definition of harassment under the law, which is Section 2 of the Protection of Harassment Act 1998, states that it is an offence to either persuade somebody or dissuade somebody from doing a lawful action when you have no lawful reason to give them that directive. That's and it has to happen on more than 2 separate occasions. That's how the courts rule on what harassment is. Filming in a public place.
Stress on Section 5 of the Harassment Act.
That's Public Order Act actually, and it's not, and that's
still
not.
under the Harassment Act,
No.
which it still comes under.
No, you're thinking of Section 5 public order offence. That is using threatening or abusive language or behaviour. And how am I being threatening or abusive?
You're harassing people on film.
That's not harassment. I'm trying to I'm trying to exercise Article 10 of my human rights, freedom of expression, which allows me to gather and disseminate information to the public. This to gather and disseminate or receive information under Article 10 of human rights, freedom of expression. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to gather public information by a government body.
You're trying to take it off the board there, yeah?
Yeah, that's public information set out by a government body, right? That's there for the public to see. That's there for me to gather that information and then disseminate it. It's called freedom of expression.
Why do you need to film it?
Because some people like to see this information in a video format with a bit of narration over the top.
So you're looking to put it out on a system, on YouTube or something?
Did I say that?
Well, you're saying you're looking to put it out there, you're just doing it.
I said disseminate. I didn't say I was putting it anywhere. Disseminate can mean a wide varying.
Like I said, if you're videoing this and you intend to use it in any way, shape or form for public use, then I will locate you and see you.
No SIA license on display. Now it's on display. That's not on display though, is it?
There's G4S.
Yeah, but you meant to have your SIA license on display, not your G4S name badge. Same with you. There we go.
No problem with my details.
That's fine. I'm not interested in getting you details off it. I'm just making sure you comply with the law. That's all. I noticed his was on display straight away, but
Can I ask one question? Stop recording for a minute and read this.
I'm not going to stop recording. But I'll read it.
No, that's when you're recording.
But you can turn the phone. I'm not coming close to you.
You can't come to me.
I'm not coming that close to you. You're mad.
Okay, he was asking for proof of not filming in the building. I've got proof.
All right. Okay. Turn your phone around. I can read it from
I
here.
don't want my phone being filmed. If you'd like, I can can show you.
See, it's funny because I've actually got a copy of the internal memo from DWP, which states, although DWP generally do not allow recording in DWP, the public are allowed to record in public.
/sound record on the DWP site. Official permission and approval must be obtained.
Right.
Okay? Where approval has been given, management will advise the G4S officers accordingly in advance with the details. So no one has done that with yourselves. So,
Is that a law or is that a company policy?
it's the site policy.
Exactly, site policy. But my human right over supersedes your policy, unfortunately for you. And basically, we also have Article 14 of the Human Rights, which says that if you're discriminated against purely because you're exercising one of your other rights, that's discrimination and a violation of Article 14. So you're stopping me from doing or attempting to stop me from exercising Article 10, and by doing so you are in violation of Article 14. So and again, as you said when you started coming over about, you have the common law right to remove a trespasser, I understand that. Obviously, anybody has that right, especially as a delegate of the building. But I'm very well aware of, again, your internal memos from G4S.
Absolutely, and again, also where common law overrides that. You're aware common law overrides, because you've already told us that.
No, you're allowed to
human
remove
rights.
me from the building.
If
You can't stop me
if
from
I-
recording.
If I feel threatened, or I think my colleagues, if I think they're threatened,
Yeah, yeah.
then I can take action
Yes, yeah, you can take a preemptive action. Yeah.
justifiable and reasonable.
But again, in what way am I doing?
I'm just saying,
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to start to go to doors, then I would pointed out to you, it should
Yeah.
have pointed out to you the fact that common law is supersedes anyway. So at the end of the day, we're just asking you.
Yeah. But the thing is,
comply with what we-
so if I came in and you just generally didn't want me here for no reason whatsoever, you could remove me. But because you're removing me because I'm recording and that's the sole reason,
Well, it's-
then
we could, if we wanted to, if I felt that there was some form of threat, somebody was in fear,
and
that's my interpretation. I
Yeah.
can't have to justify it.
exactly.
If I wrote it.
And obviously it's all on camera. You can see I'm stood here very casually. I'm not being threatening. I'm keeping my distance from you. Like, there's no way a court would ever say that what I'm doing is threatening or abusive or putting you in fear.
Right, you're not giving them a request that it's already out there.
So because your ego is hurt, then you're just going to make. Then you're going to.
I'm just standing here.
Yeah.
It's not my ego, you know. I'm 60 years of age. Why would my ego be hurt by someone like you?
To be fair, you don't look 60. You're looking good.
Thank you.
I'd say maybe like early to mid 50s. Yeah. Oh no, that's what I was going to say about 54, 55. So yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
But yeah. So what are you expecting the police to do when they turn up? Out of interest.
If you say.
I said, yeah.
You say if they turn up.
Yeah. If or when. You know, because at the end of the day, you're only open till 5, so they might not get here by then. You know, at which point I'd have to leave because then that would become a criminal offence to obstruct you from closing the building. You know, but pardon? Bit of this, bit of that.
Well,
Psychologist actually by education.
Sorry?
Psychologist by education. Doing a PhD at the moment, so
let's do that.
not here.
Sir?
Not here.
Not here.
No.
They're not doing this area, then.
Pardon?
They don't do this area, no.
Oh, probably, but I'm not local, so I don't know. Be a long commute to come all the way down here. Yeah, you didn't answer. What are you expecting the police to do when they get here?
I don't know what police do.
Nothing. That's the problem. Like, you know, you're wasting. Well, I mean, not that you guys really do a lot anyway than stand around and mind an empty building. But
Wasting police, we have to do that.
well, yeah, But it's not. You're calling. If I were being threatening or abusive towards you and like getting angry, raising my voice, getting in your face, I can understand why you'd want to call the police for something like that, obviously. But this is just an absolute waste of their time, really. Like they're literally going to get her and be like, "He's in a public place. There's nothing we can do."
We're asking you to comply with our request. If you don't comply, then that's when we then follow that and we have to call the police. So therefore, it's not us wasting the police time. No, we've asked you to do something. You say you don't do it.
Freedom of expression.
Freedom of expression.
The same thing that allows you to criticise your government, criticise your boss, openly and expressionally. It's the exact same freedom. It's a very important freedom. Pardon?
Today's modern world,
Yeah. It's an absolute freedom of the press. That is what allows the press to go around. Places like Panorama, for example, not places like, but you know the show that exposed things. If they were to walk in here with a secret lapel camera and pretend to be a claimant, walk around and film probably all the GDPR breaches that are going on up there, freedom of expression that would allow them to do that and then publish that on the BBC. Freedom of expression. It's a very important right. You know. And again, it's a government building. This isn't just any building with any workers. These are government employees. By government, we have the right to hold our government to account. We have the right, so like it's not like I'm just going and filming anybody in any random workplace. It's a government building. You know, you're completely open to scrutiny. Obviously, you're not employed by the government, but you're a huge subcontractor of the government. And therefore, because you're being paid by our taxpayers' money, we have the right to come and scrutinise that as well. Yeah, of course, I'm not saying you're not. You have the right to come and do this as well if you want to. Yeah, absolutely not saying that you can't, that you're not.
Travel around a lot of these.
Pardon?
Travel around a lot of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
What have you learned so far?
G4S usually aren't very good. The guys are getting better, you know. Since the internal memo that came out about 6 months ago, I think it was, about people doing this, and you've been instructed not to get physical unless in self-defence, and that's a very strict, clear line that G4S staff get fired for all the time. But before that, they were very aggressive, very confrontational. It's getting better slowly on that front, but it's still this conversation all the time, which is ridiculous. It's still this conversation all the time, which is, you know, ridiculous in my opinion. We should be moving on from it by now. It's been long enough. And also, DWP are terrible at handling claimants' personal and private information. The amount of job centres I go to where I see appointment lists out on display, just on a random desk, like probably, what's that over there on that table over there? No appointment list. Okay, that's fine, perfect. But then like sometimes there'll be a table like that, and the appointment list and people's private and personal information will just be strewn about on there. I've noticed G4S a lot of times handling the appointment list, which you're not supposed to do. No, I'm not saying here, but trust me, I've seen it all over the country.
Don't doubt you. I really don't doubt you.
Yeah, but obviously you're not allowed to do that. It's not in your contract. And you know, from a public space, to say I were looking over at that board, if I then turned around and somebody were having an appointment, chances I could probably see that screen there, just like the angle it's turned. If somebody were having an appointment on that desk and somebody was having an appointment on that desk, that person could probably see the screen, that person could probably see that screen, and it's got everybody's personal, private information up on the screen while they're having an appointment, and they can overhear everything. This, disseminate it to people. Sometimes I report data breaches to the Information Commissioner's office, depending on how serious it is and the willingness of the staff to acknowledge and do something about it. If they acknowledge and do something about it, then I probably won't report it in the first instance. I'll come back and revisit again in 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 months, who knows.
You can pay for this.
Pardon?
You can pay for this.
No, not for this. No.
You're not funding, you're not paying at all.
No.
This is your...
Yeah, I'm exercising and protecting and standing up for other people's rights. Yeah, so see, when you're a claimant here, you feel like you can't stand up for yourself, because if you try to, then you've worried that the DWP are going to sanction your benefits or whatever. So sometimes it takes somebody who's not in their situation to come and have a voice for them. I've emailed the MP for the DWP multiple times about data breaches and I get no response. So until they do something at a higher level, unfortunately you've got to go around and do it door to door.
Question though. It's, if you're worried about like people's personal information, that's
Yeah, yeah.
something to be worried about.
Yeah, yeah.
And getting leaked and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Is you not coming in here to record and say if someone's round the corner having an interview right now and talking about their own life and
Yeah, yeah.
own information,
Yeah, yeah.
and your camera's not picking it up.
Right.
And
So,
then, like you said, you dispense that information.
so if it's in the background of, say, an important conversation that I was having
Is
with
that
you.
not also a data breach? Because now you know that person's name potentially.
No,
or
so can you let me finish? You've asked a
address.
question. You've asked a question. Can you let
Yeah,
me
yeah,
respond?
I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
carrying on.
So again, if it were in the background of an important conversation, say I'm having with you or the police if they get called, then
So the police are coming because you're refusing to leave the building.
Okay.
So that's why they're coming.
Right.
Okay. Other people in this building have a right to privacy.
not in a public place, I'm afraid.
No, the customers that come here would have privacy.
Not in a public place.
Okay. So that's why you're being asked to leave. That's what we're trying to stop.
So,
the
so,
police are coming.
so as I was explaining to
No,
these
that's
guys,
not-
is that you don't control their data well enough, so that responsibility is on you to protect their data, not on me. If I were in, yeah, but if I were in here.
Any reason why you need to record?
If I were in here
Is there
not
any reason why you
recording,
need to
if I
record?
were in here
Is
not
there any reason why you
recording,
need to record?
and I overhear or I see that information, that's already a data breach. The recording is evidence of it.
Right. Is there any reason you need to record?
As I was explaining to you, that I'm exercising Article 10 of my human rights
Right. So there's no reason why you need to record at all.
because I have the right.
So okay. Well, the police are on the way then. Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
But yeah, sorry. So if I, in the middle of an important conversation, that were in the background, I would try and isolate the noise to a lower level, so it's not as audible in the footage.
Right.
But unfortunately, sometimes that's a bit of collateral.
Yeah, but do you not see the
Yes, to an extent. And I would always try to blank out anybody's details if they're saying name, date of birth. I would always try to blur a face. No, you don't know that, but you. Yeah. But we don't know what you're doing with your CCTV footage. You tell us you're doing one thing, but it doesn't mean you're doing that.
But there you go, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's the same with yourself, isn't it?
Well, no, because okay. So can I ask you to turn off all your CCTV while I'm in here, and then I'll turn my camera off? Yeah, but then, okay, so say I don't want to be recorded, but I have to come here because I have an appointment, and if I don't come, then I get sanctioned for missing an appointment. So that's not really notice, that's I don't have the option to opt out of that by not coming into the building if I have an appointment. So that's not a fair, if I have an appointment and I say, I have an appointment, turn all your cameras off because I don't want to be on it, and then if you say no, then I call up my work coach or whatever they're called now and say, I'm not coming to my appointment because I don't agree to be on your CCTV. But you guys can put things in place. If you're worried about data protection, you can put things in place. You can put privacy screens on the screens of the computers, you can put dividers, you can put screens. Huh? No, I'm not saying you, but the DWP in general, you know what I mean? So like, if data protection is the worry, the onus is on the DWP of data protection, not on me. As I was saying to that DWP employee there, if I come in and I see or I hear private information, that is the data breach. The recording is not the data breach, it's the seeing or hearing of it. The recording is then evidence of it. If I'm not recording and again there's a data breach, how am I meant to report that to the ICO with no evidence? Do you see the logic in that? You're slowly coming around and I can see you are.
Nah, not really. Just
No, not you, but he is. I can see the smile on his face.
yeah, but you've already flattered them, haven't you?
Yeah, butted him up.
It's 50s, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, as I say, I'll do everything I can to not share somebody's private information. That's not what I'm here for. You know.
And I said you seem very aware of everything that goes around, so you clearly know that we're only just following our policy and.
Yeah. But again, it's having a brain, isn't it? Lots of people throughout history have said just following orders. But you can have a brain and you can stand up and say to your bosses, actually, as long as they're not doing anything, and they're not. If I would come in and I would go straight up to the desk, straight up to claimants, then yes, I can understand. But if I was coming in here, I'll walk in, go straight to the board, go to that board, say, cheers guys, see you later. All you need to do is observe. And then make a report to your bosses or whatever on the system, whatever you've got. Somebody came in, filled in, no issues caused, was in there 2 to 5 minutes and he was gone. That's what they do at a lot of job centres now. I said the other two that I've been to today. Where did I go? I went to Gravesend first. Then I went to, what's on the way? Maidstone? Yeah, went to Maidstone. No issues whatsoever with them. Because, again, I'm not coming in, I'm not being aggressive, but I'm not coming in to harass the staff. And as long as nobody's causing an issue, there's no issue being done. Again, because they've had the thought of, all right, yeah, the policy says this. I could go through all this hassle.
Have the other force or they just thought,
Yeah, probably, but they've had the forethought of, oh, I can engage this guy, tell him not to do this, but then he's going to argue with me, then I have to call the police, then he's going to stay here longer, or he could be like, I'm just going to leave him to it, as long as he's not causing anybody any harm, and he'll be in here 5-10 minutes because I'm not giving him a reaction, and he's going to get the information that he wants, and then he's going to be gone. And that's the smarter thing to do, really, isn't it?
then we're not doing our job.
If we do it for one, you do it for another. If we don't have it, we could, if somebody sees you do it and somebody they're not doing it for the same reasons you're doing it for. The next thing is you've got somebody just filming because you filmed and you try to explain to them you're doing it for X, Y, Z. They think they're just filming for you. You know the laws, etc., etc. Other people will see you filming and think, if he's filming, I can film.
But they can, that's the point.
They can, but they might go beyond what you know you can go on.
But I mean, I can literally record anything I can see from a public place. Anything you don't want me to see is your responsibility not to show. And that's the thing. In a public place, so...
You can record from outside, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's a public place, of course, but this is also a public place.
Private, yeah.
Privately, so private property and public space are different things. So Asda is private property, but it's a public place. If the police came in and decided to detain and search somebody and they found a knife on them in Asda, that's a public place. You're going to get arrested for it because it's only illegal to have a knife in public places. So that's private property. That's an example of private property but public place. Same as this, maybe private property, but it's a public place because you are opening your doors to the public. You're not appointment only. You have information on the boards for claimants to come and use. You have computers around there for claimants to come and use and do job searches at any time of the day that they wish to. That if they don't have internet access at home, for example. It's a public place. Like a library. It's government owned, but it's a public place. And that's the distinguishment. That's what I mean when I say it's a public place. Yeah, but policies don't supersede somebody's right. Especially when the policy directly violates Article 10. That's a huge problem, you know. If your policy were not to have helmets on inside, that's not violating my right, that's a request, you know, especially if it was the full visor one and I had that down, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have that, but I wear this all over the place, but because it's an open face visor, you can't ask me to take it off because there's no obstruction to my face. If I was a full visor one, you could, but that's why these were literally invented.
You're going to see staff that still request you to go through some staff again, because where you may come in for a certain reason, others may think I can use that as a weapon. So it goes across the board.
It's more likely to be used as a weapon in my hand than on my head. Well, I mean, I could headbutt you with it, obviously, but then if I have it in my hand, I've got greater reach, so I could swing for you with it. So either way.
Across the board, we have to say, leave you crash over there. So we do that as a policy. It's not,
No.
you can't do it by law, but you say it's a policy.
Yeah. But that wouldn't be violating anybody's rights.
People still some come up and say it is. Who knows? Nowadays, people come up with different.
No, I mean the rights are clearly set out.
interpretations.
No, the rights are clearly set out in the Human Rights Act 1999. They're clearly set out. You know.
How many actual parts of the Human Rights Act is it? How many?
So it skips Article 1 because that's technically in Schedule 1. I think there's about 16, 17, 18, the high teens around that sort of number. There's quite a few in there. Obviously, Article 1 is right to life, so that's what abolished the death sentence and things like that. You have the right to life. I can't remember, it's been a long time since I read up on them. Article 8 is right to a private home and family life, but again, there's no expectation of privacy in public. Same way that you can record me in here because it's a public place. I don't have the right to privacy. If I want it, I create my privacy by doing that. I'm not that bothered about it. It's a public place. You know, if you want to create your privacy, you can. Then Article 10 is freedom of expression. You've got the freedom to marry. You've got freedom to peacefully assemble and gather, and affiliation.
Interpretation of freedom of expression
Yep.
may differ from mine.
But no, it's
Would that be right?
no, because it is freedom of the
Yeah, but
press.
that's what I'm saying. The freedom of expression is still the fact that yours may differ from mine. Basically, what expression is, isn't it? It's now.
Our expressions may differ, but the interpretation is pretty black and white on it. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's always up for debate if it ever goes to court.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's what judges are for, you know. That's what they hear and that's what they'll rule on. But what's that mean? How far is the police station from here? No idea.
It's not that far away, but depends how many patrols they've got out. Exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. If they don't get here soon and it gets to 5 o'clock, obviously I'll leave you guys to it. I'm not going to stop you from locking up. But yeah, at that point, obviously, I don't feel like anybody would have learnt from this situation, so I'll have to come back on another day, and I'll make sure I come back a bit earlier so we've got more time to flesh it out. Look guys, it's 1 minute to 5. I ain't going to be here in the next 30 seconds, so I'm probably will have to pick this up another day. It's a shame, but there we go. I mean, hopefully next time I come you'll just let me go in and take pictures of the board rather than have to call the police. But
And you were free to take pictures, mate. It's the video that was the problem.
yeah, but we've been over this. It's 30 to 60 pictures per second. It's the same thing. It really is.
It's not.
It is.
It's not. Don't get sound.
So it's the sound that's the issue, is it?
I do.
Because if it's data protection, you know, any picture could be an issue. So if it's a sound recording, that's the issue.
Picture of those.
Huh?
If you wanted a picture of those people, that was it. Come on.
Oh dear. But again, we've had the conversation here. We're not getting back into it, so you guys got to lock up in a minute. We'll carry on the conversation another day. Hope the rest of your evening goes all right.
Yeah. See you tomorrow, mate.
Yes. There we go. So, police did not turn up by 5 o'clock. So, it's literally 5 o'clock bang on the dot. I'm not going to obstruct them from locking up and going home. We'll keep this strictly to business hours only. What we will do is hang around for a few minutes. I'll have a cigarette somewhere and see if the police do rock up in the next few minutes or so. And yeah, if not, we're going to head over to the police station in a minute anyway. So. Yeah, it's a shame. That's why I don't particularly like doing job centres much later than 3 o'clock is because if they do get funny, you obviously end up just standing around waiting for the police who don't get there in time. Yeah, so it'll probably be about half an hour's worth of footage there. But I have been here for recording for an hour and 11 minutes now. But obviously there was a lot of dead time stood around waiting, so I edit that out. And yeah, so anyway guys, I'm going to wrap up here, but yeah, like I said, I'm going to stop and have a cigarette, so if the police do come then I'll pick it back up. But if not, as always, stay safe, remember your rights, and until the next one, Sarah.
You don't wanna fuck with me. A slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't